The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. Hello, everyone. This is Karen Nickel, family nurse practitioner, and this is Itchy and Bitchy, a podcast that provides answers to your many unanswered health questions. I want to remind you about my course called The Perimenopause Answer. If you are going through the phase in life called perimenopause, or if you don't know if you're in perimenopause, I would love to have the opportunity to talk with you about the course to see if it's the right fit for you. There is a link on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, and our Facebook page, IMB Podcast, where you can schedule an appointment for a Zoom call with me. This is a Zoom call with me. When you make an appointment, I will be sitting at my desk waiting for you to join the one-on-one Zoom call. A few months ago, I did an episode about the dangers of overexposure to heat that can lead to heat exhaustion or even worse, heat stroke. Well, we are now in the time of year here in the Northern Hemisphere when we have to be mindful of avoiding exposure to extreme cold temperatures. Cold temperatures can cause cold-related illness, or CRI, cold-related illness, especially for those who are under or unprepared. Cold weather will not always lead to illness. However, health problems can happen at temperatures as warm as 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. During cold weather, preventative actions need to be taken to avoid CRI, cold-related illnesses. You should watch for symptoms of CRI in yourself and others. I know someone who went on a 30-minute walk yesterday morning when the temperature was 19 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 7 degrees Celsius with a wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. They had on a heavy coat, but just a t-shirt underneath. They had on gloves and earmuffs, but were not wearing a hat, a scarf, or layered clothing. After completing this walk, my friend had confusion and memory loss, and it wasn't until they warmed up that the memory returned and the confusion subsided. After warming up, they had a normal neurological exam and normal vital signs. What was happening to this person? Well, they were experiencing early signs of hypothermia, when the body temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. If this person had remained in the cold longer than those 30 minutes, additional symptoms would have likely occurred. I'll review those in a minute. When we're going outside during the cold winter months, we can't rely solely on the thermometer reading of the air to gauge how cold it is. The wind speed and external body moisture can cause a chill that radically changes how quickly the body cools and how you feel. As I mentioned earlier, the temperature was 19 degrees Fahrenheit when my friend went on a walk with a wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. The wind chill chart provided by the National Weather Service shows that at 20 degrees Fahrenheit and wind speed of 5 miles per hour, it feels like 13 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 10 Celsius. And at 10 miles per hour, that number drops to 9 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 13 degrees Celsius. Wind chill is based on the rate of heat loss from exposed skin caused by wind and cold. As the wind increases, it draws heat from the body, driving down skin temperature and eventually the internal body temperature. Therefore, the wind makes it feel much colder. Wind increases your risk for hypothermia, and if your clothes are wet from snow or falling in water, the risk of hypothermia really climbs. Temperature regulation of the body happens in the hypothalamus, which is in the lower middle part of your brain. This part of your brain helps keep your internal temperature steady throughout the day. It does this by communicating with temperature sensors in your skin and organs, and then activates certain mechanisms to warm or cool the body. Although your hypothalamus can adapt to a wide range of temperatures, it works best when the air around you is 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. In other words, we should all live in San Diego. Ideally, when it's cooler than that range, you can usually bundle up in more layers, and when it's warmer, you might use fans or air conditioners in order to maintain an optimal core temperature. However, your poor little hypothalamus has trouble regulating your body temperature the more it decreases. If your body temperature gets as low as 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius, the hypothalamus loses its ability to regulate your body temperature and you're in real trouble. When the body temperature begins to drop, shivering will start as your body tries to increase the body temperature. Shivering alone can quintuple the body's heat production. The heart rate may also increase to help warm the body. If you don't or can't get to a warm place when these early signs begin, other symptoms start happening. So, if my friend didn't return to a warm home when they did, symptoms in addition to the confusion and memory loss could have occurred. When your body temperature is between 90 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 to 35 degrees Celsius, you may begin to have hunger, pale or dry skin, nausea, fatigue, unclear speech, memory loss and rapid breathing, high blood pressure, and an increased urge to pee. If your body temperature continues to fall between 82 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, or 28 degrees to 32 degrees Celsius, you will probably stop shivering, but even more symptoms can occur, including reduced thinking abilities, lethargy, slow reflexes, slow breathing, slow heart rate, irregular heart rhythm, or low blood pressure. Once your body falls below 82 degrees Fahrenheit, serious symptoms occur, including minimal breathing, pulmonary edema, where your lungs are filling up with fluid, poor to no reflexes, cardiac arrest, and heart failure. These symptoms obviously may ultimately lead to death. Although it is not very common, of the 336 million people that live in the United States, about 700 to 1,500 people die of hypothermia in the United States each year. There are ways to treat hypothermia if you see someone experiencing symptoms or you're experiencing them yourself. First of all, in the worst case scenario, and the person loses consciousness or shows several symptoms that I listed earlier, they're severe symptoms, and has a body temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Celsius or lower, call emergency services immediately. If the person isn't breathing or doesn't have a pulse, begin CPR and contact emergency services. Got that part out of the way. To treat hypothermia, get out of the cold as soon as possible and into a warmer environment. Remove any damp or wet clothing and start warming up the middle areas of your body, including your head, neck, and chest, with a heating pad or against the skin of someone with a normal body temperature. To gradually increase your body temperature, which is what you want to do, you can drink something warm, but do not drink anything with alcohol. No hot toddies, please. Even after you begin to feel warm again, stay dry and wrap yourself in a warm blanket. Besides hypothermia, there are some other cold weather injuries, including frostbite, chillblains, and trench foot. Other symptoms that can be triggered by the cold are Raynaud's phenomenon, which unfortunately I experience, and cold-induced hives. I had several patients who experienced cold-induced hives. I'm going to take a quick break, and right after the break, I will talk about frostbite, chillblains, and trench foot. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Frostbite is one of the more well-known forms of cold stress. Frostbite is damage to the skin caused by freezing temperatures below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. You're more likely to get frostbite in any situation that leads to prolonged cold exposure. This might surprise you, but even under cold weather clothing, you can get frostbite. Frostbite can lead to permanent damage and, in more extreme cases, even amputation. You can get frostbite in 30 minutes or less when the wind chill is minus 15 Fahrenheit or minus 26 degrees Celsius or lower. For instance, an outdoor temp of 0 degrees Fahrenheit with a wind of 10 miles per hour produces a wind chill of minus 16 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live or work in cold climates, try to limit your time outdoors to prevent skin damage. Those with reduced blood circulation are also at greater risk of frostbite. My problem with Raynaud's syndrome or Raynaud's phenomenon puts me at higher risk for frostbite, for instance. There are a number of symptoms that can occur and will primarily be found on the fingers, toes, nose, and earlobes, though frostbite can occur anywhere on the body. In the early stages, the skin becomes red. This stage is called frost nip. It sounds pretty benign, frost nip. Sounds like a smoothie or something. But anyway, frost nip is a mild form of frostbite. As the skin warms, people may feel pain and tingling. Frost nip does not permanently damage the skin. So if you get warm at that point, you won't damage your skin or tissues. The next stage is called superficial frostbite. At this point, the reddened skin turns white or pale. Skin may begin to feel warm. Strangely, this is a sign of serious skin freezing. If frostbite is rewarmed at this stage, the surface of the skin may appear blotchy. Stinging, burning, and swelling will begin as you rewarm. A fluid-filled blister may appear in 12 to 36 hours after rewarming the skin. As frostbite progresses, it affects all layers of the skin, including the tissues that lie below, and the skin starts to turn white or bluish gray. This stage is called deep frostbite. People may experience numbness and lose all sensation of cold, pain, or discomfort in the affected area. Joints or muscles may no longer work. Large blisters form 24 to 48 hours after rewarming. Afterward, the area turns black and hard as the tissue dies. In the case of frostbite, make sure to immediately seek medical attention. The person should be moved somewhere that is warm and dry. Protect the frostbitten area. Do not bump or rub the areas. Don't be rubbing the hands if they're frostbitten. Remove any wet clothes and cover the frostbitten area with a dry cloth. Give the person warm, sweetened drinks. No alcohol. Again, no hot toddies, no spiced mulled wine. Do not apply water or snow, and do not break the blisters. Do not try to rewarm the frostbitten areas with warm water or heating pads. Just get the person medical assistance as soon as possible. Getting medical help immediately is essential if swelling, blistering, or peeling is present, or if there is severe pain, or if color and sensation do not return within 30 minutes following first aid treatment. If you are in a place where there is absolutely no medical assistance available, frostbite can be treated by slowly warming the areas using body heat. For example, the heat of an armpit can be used to warm frostbitten fingers. Or you can warm the skin by soaking the frostbitten area in warm, not hot, warm water around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit to 102.2 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 37 to 39 degrees Celsius. If your skin is numb, it can be hard to determine the temperature of the water. Hot water should not be used. Use a thermometer if you have one available, or have someone else who has not been affected by the cold check the water for you. When your skin feels soft again, or after at least 30 minutes, you can stop warming it. Keep your toes or fingers affected by frostbite separated to avoid rubbing the areas against each other. Again, do not rub the areas. Do not rub, use, or walk on frostbitten skin, as this can cause tissue damage, which we're trying to avoid. Seek medical attention as soon as is humanly possible. There are ways to avoid frostbite and hypothermia. Here's an obvious one. When it's cold out, try to stay indoors. If you do have to go outside, try to limit it to 10 or 15 minutes before going back inside for a few hours. So, make that snowman in a rapid fashion. We need quick snowman making. Dress warmly before going out. My friend who experienced hypothermia didn't do this. Layer your clothing. Wear long johns or something like cuddle duds as your base layer. That can really help. Also, wear warm socks, a thick hat, mittens, and a heavy scarf over your face, ears, and mouth. It's so important to keep your head and neck warm. Your head and neck just pour out heat like crazy. Wear windproof and waterproof clothing. Stay dry and block the wind as much as you can. Make sure your boots and clothes aren't too tight, since this can cause poor circulation. Keep moving to maintain good blood flow. Also, when traveling in cold weather, always bring your phone with you so you can call for help if you have an accident or get stuck on the road. I know this probably doesn't need to be said because most people have their phone on them at all times. Also, pack a car emergency kit in your vehicle when you travel in cold weather that includes a first aid kit, food and water, gloves, boots, sets of dry clothes, and blankets. Chillblains, also sometimes called pernio, is another cold-related illness. Chillblains seems like such an old-fashioned word. It is derived from the Old English words chill, meaning cold, that seems pretty obvious, and a word that is no longer used, blain, meaning swelling, blister, or sore. Chillblains. It occurs after intermittent or prolonged exposure to cold or damp air. The cold air causes blood vessels near your skin surface to tighten or constrict, which decreases the oxygen to the skin, resulting in inflammation to the exposed areas. Anyone can get chilblains, but there are some people who are higher risk, including females, lucky us, and people with a low body mass index. So if you're a tiny, skinny little thing, you're at higher risk. You are also more likely to get chilblains if you live in a damp or non-freezing climate, or if you smoke, or if you wear tight-fitting shoes, gloves, or clothing in cold, damp weather. Others who are also at risk include those with bone marrow disorders, Raynaud's phenomenon, again, lupus, or peripheral artery disease. So, if you have some of these risk factors, keep your wardrobe on the loosey-goosey side when it's cold and damp outside. I need to heed this advice myself, although I don't wear a lot of tight clothing, but there you go. Symptoms of chilblains include blistering, itching, redness, inflammation, and ulcers if severe. The redness and itching generally happens in the fingers, toes, ears, and cheeks. Chilblains are more likely to happen in cool, above freezing weather, unlike hypothermia or frostbite. Don't scratch affected areas. Scratching will worsen blisters and ulcers or create open sores. We don't want that. Warm the affected areas gradually. After you've warmed up, keep your hands and feet warm and wear layered clothing. Also wear a hat, yes, while inside too, to prevent heat loss. Clean and bandage the ulcers and blisters. Put corticosteroid creams on affected areas to treat swelling and itching. You may use over-the-counter remedies like nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, like Advil or Aleve to ease pain and swelling. Of course, if you have been told by your healthcare provider not to take NSAIDs, this would not be an option for you. You can use acetaminophen or Tylenol instead. Chillblains usually heal within 1 to 3 weeks, providing you avoid cold or damp weather and do the loosey-goosey dress thing. If you're at high risk, chillblains may return every year when the weather changes. If you have recurring or severe chillblains, your healthcare provider might prescribe a medication called a calcium channel blocker. The one most commonly used is nifedipine, which works by relaxing blood vessels and improving circulation. However, the best way to prevent chillblains is to stay warm and avoid cold, damp environments and wear appropriate warm clothing that covers your feet, hands, and head. Also, you can exercise regularly to improve your circulation. If you're a smoker, quit smoking. Yet another reason to put down those cigarettes. Trench foot, another cold related illness, occurs when feet are cold and damp while wearing constricting footwear or when feet are in cool or cold water for a long period of time. Unlike frostbite, trench foot does not require freezing temperatures and can occur at temperatures up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. This condition can occur with as little as 13 hours of exposure. Where did the lovely name of trench foot come from anyway? In 1812, a French army surgeon first described trench foot when treating soldiers in Napoleon's army. But it became well known during World War I when many soldiers developed the condition. The soldiers stood in waterlogged trenches for long periods and had to endure cold, wet, and muddy conditions. Tens of thousands of soldiers were treated for trench foot during World War I. Symptoms include red skin, leg cramps, tingling, blisters, ulcers, numbness, swelling, bleeding under the skin, and if severe, gangrene, which is tissue death that can occur. Try to get medical attention. If medical attention is not available, take off wet socks and shoes, move yourself or the person affected to a warm area, get the feet dry, and try not to walk. Stay off those feet. Keep the feet elevated to prevent further damage. Do not try to rewarm the area unless directed by a medical professional. Your healthcare provider may prescribe an antibiotic to prevent any infections. A tetanus booster shot may also be recommended for you. For pain, you can take nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, as I discussed earlier, or acetaminophen if you cannot take NSAIDs. After treatment for trench foot, it is important to do some things to make sure your feet continue to heal. So again, these are things to do after you have been diagnosed with trench foot. Make sure to wear a clean, dry pair of socks every day. Avoid wearing socks while sleeping to keep your feet dry. Check your feet daily to make sure your symptoms aren't getting worse or that you haven't developed an infection. Once again, avoid smoking or any other nicotine-containing product. Nicotine can impair blood flow to your foot. Eat a diet high in protein. If you don't know how to do this, check out the Itchy and Bitchy episode dated March 2nd, 2024, called Muscle is a Must. Certain groups of people are at risk for developing trench foot. Those include people who are homeless, who often don't have more than one pair of socks and shoes. They lack shelter and endure long periods of wet and cold. People who attend music festivals can develop trench foot by standing in cold, wet, and unsanitary conditions for days at a time. So just think of that the next time you buy a music festival ticket. People who work in or near water, like fish processors, harbor workers, and other people who have to stand in water for an extended time for their jobs, they may develop trench foot. People who spend time outdoors doing activities like hiking and mountaineering can develop trench foot if they neglect to change out of wet socks and boots. Here's the beautiful thing. Trench foot is very preventable. Here's how you can do that. Change out of wet socks and shoes or boots as soon as possible. Let your feet air dry and make sure your feet stay dry. Keep your feet elevated when possible. Change into a new pair of socks at least once a day and wear properly fitting boots or shoes. Again, no tight shoes. For those of you who live in an area with cold winter weather, please be safe by being prepared and bundled up as I described when you venture outdoors. Thank you for listening to and for sharing the podcast with others. Wherever you listen to this podcast, please leave a review and rate the podcast. Your reviews and ratings matter. I encourage you to visit our Facebook page, IMB Podcast, where you can leave comments or questions for me. Our website is itchyandbitchy.com, where there are blogs with some of our subjects available for you to read. On the Facebook page and the website, we have the information about how to schedule an appointment with me so we can chat about how my perimenopause course can help you if you are going through this phase in life. As always, thanks to Forrest Wenzel, our producer and composer of our theme music, and the person who does all the behind the scenes work to make this podcast possible. Thank you, Forrest. As I mentioned before, our Forrest has moved to Baltimore to attend the prestigious Peabody Music Conservatory, where he has begun his studies to receive a master's degree in music composition. If you want to listen to some of his music other than the Itchy and Bitchy theme song, which I love, you can go to his website, forrestwenzel.com, FORRESTWENTZEL.com. Again, your health is in your hands.